Thanks for joining us today. I'm Cody Holngup. We have a lot to talk about as we take a close look at the impact of decisions made by voters in both our states. Let's start in Kansas, where voters whittled down a crowded field of candidates for governor. State Senate President Ty Masterson won the Republican nomination, and State Senator Cindy Holscher took the Democratic win.
This is everybody's fight. It's a fight for our state, for our schools, for our rights, and for our democracy.
The message was clear from Kansas tonight. They want lower taxes, safe communities, right? They want opportunities for our children.
Senator Masterson has the backing of President Trump. Senator Holscher won handily without the endorsement of Governor Laura Kelly, though she did offer her support after the primaries. The race for U.S. Senate in Kansas is now set. Republican incumbent Senator Roger Marshall will face Democrat Adam Hamilton in November. Hamilton's new to the political scene, but has name recognition, founding the Church of the Resurrection, the largest Methodist church in the country. He told supporters people are ready for a change on Capitol Hill.
We have to do better. As Americans, we're tired of the rhetoric, the erratic changes, the decisions hurting people, again, the chaos and corruption in Washington. And together, Democrats, Republicans, and independents can take back our country.
Hamilton has an uphill battle ahead of him. Kansas hasn't elected a Democratic senator in nearly a century. Missouri's gerrymandering shakeup led to some heated congressional races in our area on the other side of the state line. Democrat Jordan Herrera will face incumbent Mark Alford in November in Missouri's 4th congressional district. Longtime Democratic incumbent Congressman Emanuel Cleaver will take on State Senator Rick Bratton in the 5th, a district that now stretches halfway across Missouri. And in the 6th, Democrat Josh Smead will face talk radio host Chris Gall in November, who's working to take over for retiring Congressman Sam Graves.
I don't want to be a senator. I don't want to be a governor. I don't aspire to be president. I just want to represent our home for a time.
Now, the 6th has been a Republican stronghold for years, but remember, the makeup of the district has changed slightly because of gerrymandering, so stay tuned. And the Jackson County executive race is set. As we discussed, Democrat Stacey Lake almost knocked Frank White out in the primaries 4 years ago. She wins this time, facing Republican Army veteran Alan Rolfing in November. Our roundtable of journalists is here to get to the heart of the decisions you made at the polls. Please welcome back Brian Ellison, senior news analyst with KCUR, and KNBC9 political reporter Michael Mahoney. All right, gentlemen, let's start with the Kansas governor's race. Endorsements seem to help Republicans, not so much for Democrats. So what can we glean from that?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the Democratic side, a real repudiation of Governor Laura Kelly's endorsement of State Senator Ethan Corson. When it became clear that Holscher was gaining ground in that race, Laura Kelly doubled down on the endorsement, went out on the trail for Ethan Corson, and yet voters still turned to Holscher. I think one of the things that tells us is that there is a difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in Kansas, and Democrats do not look to one person as their leader. And that endorsement, they took it in stride, but still preferred Cindy Holscher's message and style, apparently, in that race.
I think it's hard to say that candidates didn't work hard, but I do, and I don't think Ethan Corson did not work hard, but I believe he got outworked by the Holscher campaign on this, and the fact that she had a more progressive message than Corson nor Skoog in this race, and that resounded with the Democratic base. Now, things on this are going to change in the fall, but that helped her this primary.
We bring up a good point. So on the Republican side, right, you have the Trump Republican, right, endorsed by the president, and then a Democrat who has said that her values are more moderate, and of course now she's trying to reach outside of the progressive base. What should we expect here?
Well, that is the blueprint for Democratic victory in the state of Kansas. You have to A, hold your Democratic base, B, attract a fair number of independents, and then some moderate Republicans. In the state of Kansas, there are more Republicans registered than there are Democrats. In fact, independents are the second largest group, not the third. And so any Democrat, Cindy Holscher in this campaign, is going to have to hold on to her Democratic base and appeal to a lot of independents and some moderate Republicans.
And I think we might say C or D in that list of points is that there also has to be a mistake or a weakness on the Republican side, and at least that usually has been the case. So when Laura Kelly won the first time, it was against Chris Kobach, who came with a lot of baggage. I don't know that that's going to be the case, whether Ty Masterson will misplay a hand or will come off in some way too extreme for the voters of Kansas. That's what we're waiting to find out.
Any takeaways from the Kansas U.S. Senate race?
Well, certainly I think Adam Hamilton, as expected by the impressive performance he put on in raising money, then proceeded to have an impressive impressive performance at the polls. His 35% more than the 14% of his two closest rivals. Having said that, I think we still see that that's a very uphill battle, and already the Republicans have come out guns a-blazing against Adam Hamilton, portraying him as radical and liberal. I think we're going to hear a lot about how his faith background is not to his benefit, at least in the eyes of some Republican voters.
Now, the one thing about this race is that Marshall's Senate seat was viewed as safe Republican, and The Hill, an online newspaper of some note in Washington, has moved that race from safe Republican to likely Republican. And so they're giving Hamilton, more than a puncher's chance.
I do want to take a second to talk about Missouri's congressional races. Obviously, redistricting as a renewed focus on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. What should we be watching here?
Number one, Chris DeGaulle is probably going to be the next congressman from the 6th district. He has the support of Sam Graves and Eric Schmidt, and an implied endorsement from President Trump. And that seat's been, as we said earlier, a stronghold for the GOP in Missouri for years. The 5th is the wild card race, depending on what happens on how they have divided up this district and whether or not the new race will hold. Rick Bratton is a formidable campaigner. This district is nearly 60% Trump as it's drawn on the new lines. It was over 60% for Kamala Harris under the old lines. We'll see how this goes. I think a lot of folks right now believe this is a very flippable district for the Republicans.
Mm-hmm. In the 4th district, I think we had one of the most interesting races of the night. One of the closest was on the Democratic primary, where Jordan Herrera, defeated by just about 1,500 votes, defeated Hartzell Gray. But in reality, neither of them is considered likely to defeat the incumbent Republican Mark Alford. It would take a really significant turn of events for the 4th district to go Democratic.